Well, happy day. Welcome to the Vulnerable Vikings, and we've got one whale of a show today. Uh, it, we couldn't do two. I know we can't do 2 hours, but I could do 2 hours with these two. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sending it out. We really have gotten a lot of likes and looks and all that kind of stuff, and that's all that matters. This is all about being vulnerable and hopefully sharing experiences that will help one another and people that have seen some of the stuff that I've done in the past. You might recognize this guy, but he is now with. I wanted both of them on, and I'm glad they're here. They just got married, just like what, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago yesterday.
2 weeks ago, and so. Um, Bill from the Olympics and from here in Utah, and those that watch from outside, been an athlete forever and motivator, and I've had him on some of the other things that I do, and I'm just happy to have both of you here. And we talked about what's this all about. It's about comfort. It's about sharing things that have affected your life that you might be able to help. Bill, we've talked about, goodness gracious, I mean, you go through self-esteem issues. You go through, hey, what do I do after I'm an athlete? I know you've had relationships, and there are other things that you can talk about, but just talk about things that you might help somebody out there kind of grab a little bit of strength, and that's where we are today.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming. And does anything come up, let's go ladies first.
Yeah.
Anything come to mind that might help somebody, a lesson in your life that you learned that might help somebody, could be woman, man, young, old, whatever it might be.
Yeah,
put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, the biggest thing I think, one of the biggest things that's ever occurred in my life is, I was married for a long time. I got married when I was 20. I married someone from my childhood that, even when I was little, I'd say, one day I'm going to marry him. And
yes,
he was my
brother's.
He was my older brother's best friend. And so we got married. I was really young. He was 7, 8, almost 8 years older than I am. Got married really young, and, just lived our lives and stuff. Wound up having kids. We had kids about seven years after we got married. Got very heavily involved in the predominant religion here, to the point where, I was like,
we can say it, the LDS
the
Church,
LDS
for those
Church,
who
right?
don't know.
Right,
Yeah,
the LDS
yeah.
Church, right? So I was a Relief Society president. He was like Sunday school president, and in the young men's presidency. We were very, very active, right? And then it came about that he had been living a double life. We wound up divorcing, and I lost everything. I lost my, close group of what I thought was my close group of friends
Sure.
and my support system.
Right.
Because people have a really hard time with the concept of, a Mormon man and a Mormon woman, and then this man coming out and, announcing, or me finding out that he was gay. And everybody is really uncomfortable, and they just kind of spread, right?
Sure.
They just left.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. It was super uncomfortable for him, right? And especially when we were so involved.
Which is too bad.
Right, exactly. And it was devastating. It was devastating, like spiritually and emotionally and financially and physically, everything. And it was that for my children too, and so they lost their support system, and for about a year and a half after that, I thought, like, I truly just despised him, just because it was so devastating. And there was, like a suicide attempt and stuff in between
On his side.
On his side, yeah. And I had people coming after me financially and stuff that I had no idea. This was 14, 15 years ago, I guess. But, I had people coming to my house and knocking on the door and threatening me,
Right.
To collect money that I had no idea that he owed,
Accounts and credit
Yeah,
cards
exactly. And so, that went on, and I just despised him for about a year and a half. But I always promised myself, I'd grown up and been exposed to, women that had, been divorced and they hated their spouses and they were so disparaging against them with their children, right? And they kind of, pitted their kids against their ex-spouses. And it was just so toxic and awful and cruel. And I just promised myself that no matter what, I would never do that, right? Because I had no right to, I needed to protect my kids, but I had no right to determine whether or not they were going to have a relationship with their father, right?
Okay.
That wasn't my decision.
Right.
I needed to make sure that they were safe, but there was nothing that had ever happened, with them that was unsafe, and with their dad. So at that point, I had started investigating other spiritual and just different ideals and different thoughts and things. And I remember reading something that Gandhi had said about, it was something about, how hatred is like feeding poison to yourself and expecting the other person to die.
Right. Sounds like you had maybe a lesson.
Yeah.
One of your lessons was grace. Like,
right.
Giving him, like, okay, you are who you are.
Right.
I'm gonna move on.
Right. And I just, but the whole point of it was that I finally realized that holding this hatred was it was hurting no one but myself and my kids. Even though I wasn't saying anything to my kids, I was experiencing that level of hatred, that it was changing me, inside and who I was. And I did not want to have that any longer. And so I just told myself to stop. And at that point, I remember calling him and saying, you know what, we need to start doing stuff together as a family again. I need to
parenting and all those fun things.
And my kids, I had custody of them and everything. And I rebuilt myself. I'd gone back to school. I'd become a nurse.
I was gonna ask that. What your skill set at the time?
Yeah.
Was it? Sorry, but that typical get married, have kids, really maybe not finish your education, or now you need to.
Right. I'd gone to
really cool.
beauty school right out of high school.
Right.
That's something I wanted to do. And so I'd had my own business, and then I'd worked for another company, and I was successful in my own right that way.
Right.
And we'd actually had a small property management company and stuff, and so we were doing well. And he was in real estate, and that we were doing well. But once he left, I was like, I'm a single mom.
Yeah.
And you can only do so much hair, right?
Right.
So I went to nursing school. It was something that I could.
You and
that's
I
right.
don't know about that.
So I had gone to nursing school, and I that's what started me just in a new life financially.
That's awesome.
But it really did start with deciding I did not want to hold that hatred, because it's just so toxic, and I saw it all over the place. One of my best friends hated her ex-husband so much that it finally wound up destroying the relationships that she had with her kids, and I think that's the biggest thing, is that just learning and understanding that concept of, carrying that kind of hatred and that misery inside of yourself only makes you more miserable.
Like the thing that picks
That's
up,
awesome.
yeah, the thing that stands out for me, like when I hear the story, and I know it very well, is like she found a place to forgive. Right.
Yeah.
How many of us like hold on to these negative attachments through life?
Sure.
And it just doesn't serve us right. It just it's that darkness that we're holding on to. That if I'm mad at you, Beau, and I have this anger towards you, it's not impacting you. It's impacting me.
Right. Because I'm going to go about mine. That is true, though.
Right.
So that's true. So yeah, we just we worked it out, and that doesn't mean that I for a long time didn't hold resentment, or I didn't wasn't happy with the situation, but it was once I just decided, what, I cannot imagine what he was experiencing, like living this secret his entire life, and he wound up losing much more than I did, right? Because not only did he leave his or lose his support system, his family, my family, friends that we'd had for years, just completely disappeared.
And still, it's there's so much controversy with that and stuff.
Absolutely.
See, look at you pull out. We've never done anything on hatred. We've never done anything on hatred, so here we go.
Well,
but you know what? Oh, go ahead, babe.
The funny thing is that when I made that call and had the conversation with him, it was it was a heavy conversation because
bet.
we went
I
through
bet.
everything, and he finally exposed. He told me exactly what he'd been doing.
Right.
It was a lot.
It was a lot,
A lot.
I can
a
imagine.
whole lot that I never would have even imagined.
And
But
it
it
had been
helped
going on for a long
for
time.
23 years.
Literally, this could
As
be a
long as
movie.
your marriage, as long as your marriage
Yeah.
went on.
Even
Really?
before we were married.
Like this
yeah.
could be a
Really?
movie.
Yeah.
Like in reality. Yeah.
But the cool thing is that came from that is that we're actually really good friends.
That's good.
He's remarried to a man. He's
Well,
in.
Couple.
He's yeah.
Technically.
They have like a
Technically.
quad.
Couple men.
Technically,
It's
yeah.
it's a
His wives.
It's a quad.
it's polyamory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother wives.
Yeah,
brother
exactly.
Husbands.
But I can honestly say I love all of them so much.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I
Well, even-
absolutely love them.
Yeah.
And
I mean, well, and two, like, I mean, if I can jump in too, the reality is this is a conversation she and I had when we got into our relationship, right? Because she wanted to communicate her situation, and one of the things that makes us so successful in our relationship is we are very transparent at the very beginning, right?
oh my
Right.
gosh,
and
first date.
extremely very transparent. And she told me, she's like, just want to let you know, in a nutshell, I have a relationship with my ex. He's married to another guy, and another guy lives in the same house, and they have another husband, and this is a situation. And she was fully expecting me to be like, I'm out, man. I can't. I don't want
Oh,
to.
because most
Well,
guys
with
do.
the
That I
guy-
said that.
yeah.
Right.
They're just like,
Yeah.
peace out. That's
But-
just way too gay.
Well,
for
and
me.
you know me. I was just like,
For a lot of guys, it
yeah.
would,
I was like,
not
cool.
for Bill,
When do I get to
yeah,
meet him?
never really know.
Right.
And this is the same guy who was in charge of our wedding, setting it up and organizing everything together.
Really?
Yeah.
Was he really?
Yep.
Okay.
Him and his husband.
I may have seen them running.
Yeah,
you
you
absolutely
you
did.
definitely did. Yeah,
Yeah,
they,
you
they were
absolutely
there.
did.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
awesome.
So
That is cool.
It was
it's
super cool, yeah.
But so again, like what I find so extremely amazing about this woman and our entire family, and there's a lot of things. Again, it goes back to she was able to create a space of forgiveness,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
even in the time period we've been together, we've all had some amazing experiences together as a family,
That's
Incredible.
right?
That's great.
So-
How many kids?
Two.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're
All
both grown, 26 and, no, almost, oh my gosh, 27 and
Yeah.
29.
Yeah.
Have 2 grandchildren.
I've already had people ask me like, when are you and Kirsten gonna have kids? I'm like, no. Yeah.
That would be cool.
Okay, like furry
That
kids.
would be cool.
Furry kids.
Furry children.
Yeah, that's sweet.
That is
yeah,
awesome.
we're good.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. Bill and I have talked for years, on and off and all that kind of stuff. And Bill's led an extraordinary life. And is there anything, and I know you've shared a lot over the years with me and, stuff like this. Was it at this point in your life, I know things, ebb and flow, business-wise, things like that, but all the exposure, all the experiences, what are you feeling right now?
Man, so much love and gratitude. Honestly, love and gratitude across the board. So grateful for all the opportunities and the people, places, and things in my life. It's similar to you. Like
You've
been
been in some dark places.
I've been in some
Right.
really,
And I
really
got
dark
the sign
places.
back here, darkness is a hell of a coach.
Yeah, dark.
You
I
know.
mean, even my tattoos represent, these dark spaces.
Right.
The light spaces. My tattoo artist and I talked that like from darkness comes light, right?
Right.
And so I learned over the years to embrace the darkness, right? And not let it define me, and realize it's just a learning experience for me to learn whatever I'm supposed to learn at that point in time, and then go and turn around and try and create if I can. And I can, there's so many things that I could, account my success to. But at the end of the day, it's first and foremost being accountable for the things that I created in my life, right? And even if something happened to me, I still try to take accountability for it and say, okay, why did that person do that to me? And what can I learn from that? Like, what was I doing? What was the role I was playing?
As long as I've known, you've never been a victim.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's, that's part of it.
Yeah.
You've never been like, oh my gosh, it's this person's fault.
Yeah. Well, no, 100%, because that's like, as human beings, that's the first thing we go to. Oh, it's Beau's fault. Or it's
Yeah.
Kirsten's fault.
Yeah.
Or it's Briggs' fault, right?
Yeah.
And until we say, you know what, Briggs isn't going to fix it. Beau's not going to fix it. Kirsten's not going to fix it.
Right.
If I want my life to be where I want it to be, the only person who's going to fix it is me, right?
Right.
And I have, a good friend, Mark Peterson. He's the director of all the Spartan Agoge races worldwide. And he taught me a long time ago. He's like, can I tell you, like, the best technique for being rescued? And I was waiting for him to give me this elaborate explanation. Oh, you got to call these people, and do this and do this. He says, best rescue is self-rescue. And I was like, what? He's like, the best rescue in any situation is self-rescue. And I'm like, well, what if you don't know? And he's like, well, that's the whole point. Educate yourself well enough so you understand if you get in a bad situation, what do you need to do? And you might not necessarily always have the tools, but you can connect yourself with the friends and the people around you, right, to help support you.
Sure.
But if you're in that victim mentality all the time, you're just going through the same vicious cycle, right? And you and I know a lot of people. It's funny that I can think all the way back to when we did the homeless shelter interview, and I can think back to some of the people that you and I both know back then that were doing some weird, crazy stuff, or they're blaming everyone in the world for their same stuff.
Right.
And now, many, many years later, those people are still doing the same thing.
Exactly. And
right?
that's exactly a point that I was hoping you'd probably bring up.
Yeah.
Because it kind of goes along with that hate thing too, because it's like, oh my gosh, you may have been with him or had a situation with him or business part, whatever, but they're still talking about that. They're manifesting that. And it's like you've moved on and haven't even thought about it.
Yeah, no,
forever.
I literally, I'm so fortunate to be in the space I'm at right now. I've literally lived like the perfect life, and I've got the perfect partner and perfect family. And I really just, instead of attaching myself to the negative things that we typically attach ourselves to, I was like, there's always people talking about being accountable and your integrity and focus and forgiveness and vulnerability, right? And service to others. And you never hear anyone say, oh, if you're of service to others, you're going to lose like your life. Or if you're vulnerable, your life is going to suck. Or if you're, have good integrity, your life's going to suck. You never hear that. It's always like, if you got integrity, your life is going to be good. If you service, things will come back to you. And I was like, there's got to be something to this, right? There's got to be something to this. And, again, when you and I did that interview back in the day, I was in an extremely dark place. I was borderline getting ready to like do my second suicide attempt and be very successful at this one at this time. And I was like, okay, there's got to be something to all this stuff. It can't be just people saying it, right? And I came to the conclusion that I had the tools and the resources for me to self-rescue myself. I did have to take tons of accountability, surround myself with the impactful and powerful people that I belong to. And in my head, I was like, I've done this before. And it was when I went to try and train for the Olympic Games. I said, I've already been here and I've already done this. And now all I have to do, it gives me the chills, because I'm just like, that moment that light went off for me, I was like, so there is an opportunity for me to be successful as a normal human being in this new space. And this is what we don't care, girlfriend. Alexa,
What's all that about,
it's not even
Alexa?
your turn, Alexa.
And
I got
it's the
30 more
best
seconds.
freaking point. Don't
Right?
take this out either.
Yeah. So
Keep
yeah,
going,
so
'cause being an athlete, just turn that. Sorry.
Alexa, it's not your turn yet. It was just, I was like, okay, I've already done this. So who do I need to connect to, right? And what things do I need to do? Where's my coaches, right, in life that I need to be around? And what is my game plan? Just like when I was pursuing the Olympic Games. It was very strategic. It was very planned out. It was very much, I'm taking accountability for myself. I've got to get my ass up and go to practice every single day. No excuses, because if I have an excuse and I don't go to practice, you're going to come out and kick my butt in competition. And then I'm going to be whining of why I didn't win the medal, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm 40, I think 47 at the time, 46, 47. And I was like, so there's an opportunity for me to make it really big and design my architecture exactly the way I want to. And that's what I've been doing since end of 2018, 2019. And, now we've got, again, 3 nonprofits. 2 of them are, one's with the Olympic and Paralympic Committee, the other one's with the NFL. We've got 3 technology companies that will do probably $500 million each this year. I've got a coaching and consulting company that's getting a $10 billion investment.
Right.
It's just, we just got married, and it's like, the more I get in alignment, this is why I love to tell people, the more I continue to get in alignment, even though we are pretty aligned, I mean, like pretty solidly aligned, the more we continue to stay in alignment, the more we are of service to others, the more opportunities literally fall out of the sky in our lap. It's insane.
Right.
I know, Alexa. It's great. There's a lot. Alexa was just saying.
Alexa, turn off.
She was saying that she's detecting another great thing is going to fall out of the sky in your laps.
Just unplug it, right? Is that what'll do it? I'll set it up later.
Alexa wants her TV time, man. So some of the points I wanted to make is though, and I may have made it a few times, but that's the point, is being consistent, right? Is the more I would get in alignment and the more service I would provide, the more these opportunities would just start falling out of the sky, right? And it's just like when Alexa's like, oh, hey, something's coming. Yeah. And it's literally, that's what it's been like.
What I like, though, too, is you reference your athletic background and using that, because so many people, only people that have been athletes and had that self-discipline and that can sometimes they can't.
Yeah.
I know for me, same kind of thing. I look back at the discipline it takes and and you got to work out. You got to practice perfect every day.
Yeah.
But for you to reference that, I think that's just golden, because it's just so true.
Yeah.
But we forget about those principles. We forget about them sometimes because we're so dark. We're in the darkness or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's great to hear, because everybody has, I think everyone has a time in their life, whether they're an athlete or a musician or they went to college, whatever, some way of getting out of something that they can think back as to, okay, well, progression. And like you say, you have to self-rescue.
Yeah.
Nobody can, your coach can we can't pat him on the butt anymore, but
right.
they can say.
That's a whole nother story, because we were talking about that anyways.
I've had coaches that have patted me on the butt.
Right.
But it comes down, it's like anything else. It's like abuse, it's like addictions. If you don't hit rock bottom and you don't come out of it, nobody's going to, you can have everybody in the world tell you got the greatest potential in the world. Come on back, Bill, come on back.
Yeah.
But you have to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done.
Well, and that's a reality no matter what we do, right? It doesn't matter if you're an athlete that wants to achieve the greatest level, you still have to get up and do it.
Right.
If you're an addict that wants to get clean, you still have to actually be the one that takes the actions to do it.
Right.
There's all the tools and resources around us everywhere we go.
Right.
If you want the big job, you still have to go to school. No one's ever going to do it for you, right? And I just literally attached myself to that and said, I'm going to take 100% accountability for my own life. And, gone from someone who was isolated, victim mentality, alcoholic, addict, suicidal, couldn't afford to pay my bills, couldn't pay my employees at the time. I was digging into couch to get food for myself. This is when you and I did that last interview years ago. And now, it's so true. Like all the stuff they talk about is so true.
Is everybody out there listening?
Right? Like I am the prototype literally for all these principles that people know that they truly work. Because if you stick to it and you stick to your guns and you are concerned with what you're doing and not worrying about what Beau's doing and Briggs doing, what Kirsten's doing, take care of yourself and the opportunities will come. But you have to be consistent and stay on the path, right? And now we're in a space where, a year and a half from now or whatever it is, maybe max 2 years, I think it's actually going to be sooner than that, we are going to have the opportunity to do whatever we want the rest of our lives and help people both emotionally, hands-on, physically, financially, whatever it is that we want to do, we're now in that position to be able to do that.
When you need a deckhand on your yacht,
right?
A pool cleaner,
I need Panther security, bro.
You need somebody to carry your bags. Just let me know. That is golden. That is exactly what people need to hear.
Yeah, and I want them to really right and
are.
And I just want people to realize that. Like I can't stress because I was there. I don't care where any of these people are right now in their lives. I do care, but what I'm saying is,
Right.
wherever you're at, however dark it is, there is an opportunity for you to overcome it and succeed. Like, I think from in 2016 when I attempted suicide, yeah, I just wanted to check out, and I did want to be successful. The doctor told me, he's like, you shouldn't have lived. And the things that have happened in my life from now until then have been so monumental. But it took for me, first, foremost, looking in the mirror at myself and saying, you're the only one who can rescue yourself. So let's do it.
That's pretty dynamite, man. I mean, this is good. This is good stuff. Yeah, boom. You two are here together, obviously. Tell me about, and I appreciate all. I mean, it's been great so far. One of the things I wanted to ask was, as far as because we're going to do some things on relationships and things like that, but were you both healed when you found each other, or did you do a little bit more, or can we ever be healed? You know what I mean? Because everybody, all the relationship experts, and even it's like you got to be healed before you can move on, and I think that's to a point true. But talk to me, talk to me about where you were that mind, because man, the magic happened, and it happened in a good spot, and obviously you are where you are because you did do some healing. So maybe. I don't know if that's a question or a statement.
Yeah. No, it's both. I wasn't. Not completely. I mean, I'd done some, but...
Was there one thing that you could share that you weren't good with yet?
Yeah.
Whether it be yourself or with a man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a deal breaker. But I'm going to give it a minute. I'll give it another date or two. Or I didn't like what I heard.
No, it's funny.
Or was it
our first date? I went home and I was like, "Wow, what was that?" And I promised myself.
That guy smelled.
Whoa, really good, by the way.
I'm not calling him. I don't want him to know I like him. Right?
It's funny. It's really funny because I had promised myself we were gonna go grab coffee, and then it turned into, hey, let's grab dinner. So
sure.
We had dinner, and I fully expected it to be like an hour long, like the typical.
You made plans.
Things, kind of.
Hey, you want to go Netflix and chill?
Hey. But I met him, and we started just chatting, and from the get-go, it was like, hey, let's just lay it all out. This is who I am. This is who I am. And
so it sounds like you were both in a place where it was like, I'm not. The bullshit,
I'm not. Yeah, it's just like
going on here today.
Right. Especially, I'd just come out of not long before that, I'd come out of a relationship that.
We both had. Well, mine wasn't.
Mine. My previous partner had cheated on me, and it was not my husband. It was another partner.
Right.
But I had not fully healed from that, and so I had my walls like up here. But I got up,
She didn't know I was a high jumper and a pole vaulter, though.
That's true.
Athletes.
But I got up and went to the bathroom in the restaurant, and I went in the bathroom, and I looked at myself, and I was like, holy shit. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I should have said that. But I was like...
You're a Viking as well. You can say what you want.
Exactly. I was like, holy shit. Like, who is this human? Because it wasn't just like an attraction. It was like an attraction.
Yeah,
connection. Like a total connection. Yeah. And at that point, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, you are not even going to kiss him on this date. It's not going to, no.
And you did.
I did not.
Oh, you did?
No, I did not. We went out to the parking lot.
Was it like an uncomfortable...
we went out to the parking lot, kind of, and I was like, I just hugged him.
Oh, hey.
And I got home.
That's cute. That's cute.
I got home, and he sent me this message, and he said, that was a quality hug.
That was a quality hug.
But my walls were up super high.
But you were pretty much healed.
But I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I did not want. I knew what I did not want for sure. And I had some absolutes. Sure. Like I've got some super strong feelings about, having your previous partner involved in your life.
Yeah.
And if that's a healthy thing or not.
Right.
So we had some, there's discussion about that afterwards. But the beautiful thing is that from the get-go, we've been nothing but 100% transparent with each other. Like, I've been able to say, I don't like when you do this, or
Yeah.
he says, I don't like when you do that.
Right.
But he put it perfectly. He was talking to somebody, and I just, I'm listening to what he's saying. And he goes, sometimes she does stuff that just drives me nuts. Bugs the shit out of me. But I have to stop and go, you know what? That's exactly what I would do.
Well,
Because
we're both
so much
cancers.
alike.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're both cancer
cancers.
signs.
And he's like, the stuff that makes me crazy that she does, I can't say anything because it's the same shit that I would do.
Right. Well,
And it's so true.
And we're men and women.
Right.
We're men
Right.
and women. We're so totally different.
So different.
How about you? Any healing?
Right.
Like, how was were you, or kind of the same way? You were healed, but you had your,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have maybe a little bit different perspective, and you start to kind of get on to that where, the professionals out there, the experts say you have to be healed, right? And I'm a true believer that you don't have to be healed because it's an ongoing process, right?
Right.
But if you have started the healing journey,
Right.
which starts with taking accountability 100% for all your own stuff that you created, then you can start to move on, right? It's only when we still attach ourselves to certain things and we're like, well, it's not working. Well, you're still attached, like all these attachments you have, right?
Right.
All over the place. And if you, it's really interesting too, because I also get to coach and consult like some of the biggest executives in the world. And I always talk to them about, their alignment and what attachments do you have, and the puppets you see with the strings. I'm like, this is you right now.
Right.
Like all these attachments up here have got control of you. And until you take accountability for those attachments and start cutting those strings, and some of them are very, very emotional, and they're the hardest ones to cut, especially if they're related to family and close friends and partners, right? But until you cut all those attachments, you can't truly move forward. Right? It's like, it's like if we're going on a backpacking trip and all of a sudden I see you tossing a bunch of rocks in your backpack, I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, it's a backpack. I'm supposed to have it full of stuff. Yeah, but those rocks aren't going to serve you, so get rid of them, right? This is not going to help you.
Right.
And so for me, yeah, I wasn't really in a place, like I was moved to St. George. Tried the online dating app. That was just a hot mess. And I was coming back and forth from here, and I forgot to turn my online dating app off. And that's actually how we met. And like I wanted to meet somebody, but I was like nervous, concerned for that because historically Billy has not been good at relationships. And it wasn't necessarily the other person's fault. It's that I hadn't done my own work yet fully to actually be in a place emotionally, physically, mentally to foster a relationship like this. Right. And so again, goes back to my accountability. Right. And so, even though we are in a phenomenal place right now, the healing and the work still continues. It doesn't stop, right?
Cool.
It doesn't
That was really
stop.
an open-ended question. That's good to hear, because I think we get ourselves so, oh, you got to be so healed. But when someone comes along and it's not infatuation, it's actually connection.
Right.
What do you mean? You can't totally be healed from everything all the time.
Right.
And what timing is the thing too.
I think one of the timing as well, but I think one of the other things that really plays a big role in our life too is not having the attachment with the expectation that it's supposed to look like this or like that.
Oh, that's
Same thing even with our wedding, right?
Right.
We just said, hey, let's just throw a party and let's get married at this party and just invite people to show up, right? And we didn't put any attachment on exactly how it looked like.
Well, there was no formality. There was no formality.
Right.
I mean, it started when it started, and you guys had your little thing, and your daughter did it, and then it was you're standing, everybody's there, and let's eat, let's drink, let's dance, let's do whatever. Yeah, that's really cool.
And we've in my I was just going to say, like in our companies and even in our relationship, we just have this saying that we kind of live by, that was just no forced efforts. Right? No forced efforts. If we feel like we're a salmon trying to swim upriver, then we just need to take stop and take a look at it, like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong? Or are we even going the right direction? So.
And that's something that I love that saying, and that's something that I learned from him, right? Because I've been that person that, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it no matter what anybody says, and I'm going to, be successful at it because that's just what I've done, right? I've worked hard, to progress and move through things and, perform at a certain level in my profession and everything. And even to the point where like I'd nearly kill myself with the amount of hours in work, that I'd work and
Right.
stuff. And it wasn't until he came along that he was like, what are you doing this for? What is your real purpose? Like,
Yeah.
what is your end goal?
Right.
And are you doing the things that are going to get you to where you really want to be? And I still have that drive, but I had to learn one day, it was just like, you're forcing this. You are so forcing something. You're so working against something that's clearly, and I'm talking about my old job, something that's clearly not healthy for you. It's not,
Right.
it's
Right.
not the right environment for you. It's not the right time for you to be there, right?
Right.
But I was like, I'm going to make this damn thing work, right?
Sure.
And finally he just came home and he was like, look, you got to make a decision, because this is starting to impact not just you, but it's impacting me. It's impacting our relationship.
Right.
You are forcing something that's just causing havoc. And at that point I was like, you are 100% right. And I just said, boop, good.
Yeah.
And that's just, I literally every day I think about that. No forced habits, no forced efforts today.
That's awesome.
Right?
Well,
It's either going to work or it's not going to work. And if it's so difficult, and then that's not to say that you're not going to face challenges or that there's not,
Right.
like there's some
Right.
things to overcome. But it's like, am I pushing myself in the wrong direction for the wrong reasons?
Right.
And if I am, just stop and do it differently.
Well,
Right?
you're both driven people.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing. I think
Yeah.
you guys are quite the power couple, because you're both driven, both successful, but to see you come together, and then when you're together, what you guys are creating is just phenomenal. I mean, that's we hope people see that can happen. I mean, actually that can happen.
Yeah.
It's not something that's far fetched.
Yeah. Well,
especially
yeah.
if you're good with each other.
Yeah. And she made talking about like, no forced efforts, and she said, it doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. There's a significant difference of grinding and forcing, right?
Sure.
Massive difference. And so you have to really recognize that. And I think honestly, there's so many things that helps this be successful and everything externally be successful is that, and honestly, I think, I'm slapping the mic.
Oh, you're good.
It honestly really started with me, because historically, right, I haven't been great at relationships. But at the same time, when I discovered that I had all the right tools to be successful, I just took a look at when I was an athlete,
Was
right?
there one thing? Was there one
No,
thing?
there's not one thing. There's a
There's
lot of things. There's a plethora of
Nothing.
things.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wondered. 'Cause,
There's a plethora of
some people
things.
are like, well,
Yeah.
I have horrible self-esteem, or I
Yeah.
have this. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, there's just not one thing. But I also realized that in this relationship, I also had to treat it, which made sense for me. Just so I clarify, it doesn't always work for everyone. That I also had to treat her like my teammate, and that I would give and serve her before I would be concerned with myself. And
That is so,
it freaking works.
Yeah,
Like,
that is so. I think you have to be. You have to deal with yourself and be good.
Yeah.
But I really do think that service part of it for some of us, that's the key.
Yeah.
What can I do? What can I transcendently do every day for someone else, or whatever thing it is that helps us? Question for each of you. Okay, question for each of you. You only have a few minutes. Not here. But I mean, you only have a few minutes. You have someone sitting in front of you that you really don't know, but they're struggling. They're struggling with life. What do you tell them?
Man, that's a hard question.
It's one of those, or let's make the scenario. It's one of your children that's having an issue or whatever it might be, but it's a general. It doesn't have to be specific, but it's you want to give them a little bit of your sageness, your knowledge that they could maybe listen to, or they might listen to at the time, and help them, motivate them somewhere. Is it vulnerable? Are you going to be talk about something vulnerable maybe that's happened to you. It's kind
So
of a general
putting it in
question.
that context is perfect, right? Because I have had the experience, even just recently with my son. Yeah, very recently, my son and daughter-in-law.
Right.
And don't get it wrong, we don't have.
have to be. You don't have to be
No,
like
I
Yeah.
won't give all.
specific
I
to
won't give
what
all the
the
details,
issues
but
are. Yeah, but
yeah,
But we're pretty transparent. We don't have like the perfect family. We call it our
Who does?
misfit.
We
We
have
call
a
it our
mis-
misfit family.
we have the
does?
modern
Right?
American
Exactly.
misfit
Yeah,
family.
it's
That's what
and
we've
it's
all coined
awesome.
it.
We love
and it
it.
is. It's fantastic.
dysfunction is normal.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I think
yeah, it's
everybody
the one
needs to
consistent
understand that.
normalcy.
If you don't think it's dysfunctional, then yeah.
Right.
Then you're not. Yeah,
You're
not functioning.
dysfunctional.
Yeah, exactly. No, just recently, I've had some pretty great experiences with my son and his wife. I mean, they've had issues. We've had issues. But I've been able to say, look, this is one moment in time, right? And there's always an opportunity to move out of that moment, and you have the power to choose it, right? And you've done it before, you can do it again. No matter what choice you've made in the past, there's always another choice to move you into a future that you want, right? You're not tied to who you are or who you've been, right? Who you are or who you've been in the past makes you who you are going to be in the future.
Right.
And we always have opportunity to change. There's always, even if it's like this much, there's always an opportunity to change and do something or be something different. And you have control of that. Nobody else has control of that. Right?
Right.
As hard as it sounds and as hard as it is, sometimes
It's real.
It's real.
It's hard for people to hear that.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But in this particular circumstance, I have great experience and not in all of what they've experienced themselves, but
Just in different ways, probably.
just in different ways. But there is one certain thing that ties us. Well, I might as well say it, right? Bill and I stopped drinking. Actually, 9 months
It's been
to the
almost 10
day
months of our wedding.
the day that we got married. That was
Oh,
9 months
okay.
that we went sober.
Right.
And my son and his wife have got some issues there too, and they decided that they also were going to go sober. So they called me and
Second
said,
turnaround.
yeah, second turnaround. So they called and said, Mom, we want to like hang out with you and spend some time and talk about this stuff. So we did, and we had that conversation. You know what? Stuff that's happened in the past is stuff that's happened in the past. You
Right.
cannot allow yourself to be defined by your past, right? You just
Right.
cannot. If you choose to continue to define yourself by your past, whether it's good or bad, you don't give yourself opportunity to grow.
Right.
You don't give yourself opportunity to become anything different.
Right.
And they're young, and they have, they've got all these choices that they can make one way or another, and they're they get to choose that. They have the opportunity to either continue down a path that they have said they don't want to go on, or they can choose a different path and move forward. And it was the coolest thing. Just this last week, on Wednesday night, we went and celebrated 1 month of sobriety for them, and almost 10 months for us.
That's cool.
Together, and that was something that after that, my son said, Mom, I've wanted to do this with you for a long time.
That's cool.
Long time.
And it didn't have anything to do with being
Nope.
intoxicated.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
That's awesome.
It was really awesome.
Thank you for sharing that. That's cool.
Well,
You?
there's.
I know you could go on. And
Yeah.
I
I'm
hope
gonna.
you guys will come back.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
have so much to talk about.
Well, first off, like the foundation of what we both do on a daily basis is of service to others.
Mm-hmm.
Kirsten's a nurse, and she does that as a daily basis. I'm a coach and consultant. I ask this question to clients and people all the time. But first and foremost, I'm a friend to anybody that I come across their path, right? And we also have to have the understanding that people that are sometimes in that dark place have a very big lack of trust on
Right.
people around them, right? So I deal with this on a regular basis, and I just always ask people, you know, because you can't dictate to them, oh, hey, let me help you, let me do this for you. And so I ask for permission. Hey, if there's an opportunity that I could be of support to you with what you're dealing with, you know, I would love to do that for you. Right. And I said, look, if I can, I'd tell you a really quick story and I'll give them a snapshot of some of the darkest times that I went through and say, I just want you to understand that I understand what you're dealing with.
Sure.
And before I'm a coach or any of that stuff, before I'm an executive, I'm a human being.
Right.
And human beings at the foundation of who we are meant to serve one another. And so if I could do that for you, I'd love to have that opportunity.
So you're asking for permission,
Yeah.
plus you're asking for their trust.
Well, because too many
And that's
times,
important.
too
That's
many
important.
times as human beings, we try to go in there and be a Superman to everyone's problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Or we offer things when we don't really even.
Yeah.
They don't think we know what we're doing,
Right.
but they, you know,
Yeah.
we say something that we shouldn't have said.
So I try to create that safe space for them and let them know that I know what you're going through. Right. I've been there before, and just make the offer, because too many times I've done it the other way. And like, why do they not want help? I know the answer to their problems. I can help them, right?
Exactly.
But if they don't want it,
But like you
Right.
said, they've got to self-heal.
Yeah.
With help. With
yeah,
help.
100%. So yeah, but that's just what we do, and we love to do it.
Look at this. This is a joy. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I would love to go for another couple hours. I know you probably wouldn't, but I want to have you back. I hope you guys will come back,
Yeah.
really. And for those out there watching, thanks for watching. Share this. I guarantee you there was a lot of great stuff that happened today, and they're very knowledgeable and have a lot of wisdom. So
Yeah, sure.
thanks for watching. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And please come back.
Yeah.
I hope you come back.
Yeah, she'll come. You guys are a part of the same bloodline, Vikings, right?
That's
He's
right.
got Mjolnir on his neck.
That's right. We got to stay together. We're
Yep.
all Vikings.
It's all
We're
community,
Right.
Vikings.
super
Yes.
community. So
Thanks a lot. And Briggsy, thanks, man. Behind the camera. Love you.
love you guys.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Really, I appreciate it.